Hi, it's Susan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a reveal of my resting fabrics. I wrap some rusty items, or soon to be rusty items, up in various types of fabrics, small pieces, because I want to do some stitching with them. Let's see, I did that on Saturday and it is Monday, and I think they are ready to be unwrapped. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I have a bucket for the rusty pieces that I'm going to just toss them into there, and then I'm going to toss the fabric into another container, and then when I'm all done unwrapping everything, I will put the fabric in a salt bath. I'm putting on gloves. Please, 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 if you are playing with rust, do put on gloves, and do make sure that you have an up-to-date tetanus shot, because you do not want to mess around with something like tetanus, and all it takes is one little tiny cut and you have a problem. So this is wonderful because a lot of these things had not really rusted much yet, so now they've got a really nice start and they can just continue to rust, which is awesome. And I had mostly small pieces. I really want to find, I don't know, an old saw blade, circular saw blade, brake shoes, carpet, some big things that will rust. But it's okay. It looks like I got a lot of juicy goodness, and some of my materials maybe didn't take color well, and that's okay too. This was just kind of an experiment with a lot of small pieces I had set aside because I want to do some stitching. But look at that already. And I've got some copper pipes in here. I didn't put in all my copper pipes, but I got some neat greens, green blues. So these, years ago, I bought some metal design elements and never used them, so I figured at least I could rust them. They were already starting to rust. Look at this. Oh man, this is awesome. And I'm kind of close in here with the camera, but I'm limited to what I could do outside here. This is fabulous. Some of this will come off. That's okay. I didn't know, but yeah, the hinge part's gonna rust. That's good. This was a piece of upholstery fabric, and I saw it said 100% cotton. I'm like, well, I know what I'm gonna do with that. And all my fabric was soaked for an hour or so in vinegar water. Look at this. Okay, so I put the washers like that, and then I just wrapped it up because I had a bunch of, this was an old sheet I tore up. This is terrific. Wish I'd left maybe a little bit more space in between them. I love it. Can't you just see slow stitching around those circles? That's going to be awesome. And all the material was white except for this one little bit of stripe material, and then I have some eco printed fabric that didn't turn out the way I like, so I threw it in there to get another layer of marks and color on them. This is one of those. Okay, I'm gonna go buy a whole boatload of washers. These are wonderful. I mean, who doesn't love circles, right? Square washers, do they make square washers? They must. Or caps or something like that. Back to the hardware store. This was some wire left over from, some copper wire left over from construction stuff, so I thought, well, that would be good. And I think I was right. I got just little hints, and that's okay. Next time, I think I'm going to get out the glass table and lay down a big piece of plastic and lay the fabric out on there first, because I was working in this small area here, and because I didn't want vinegar all over the place. But this is wonderful. And after everything's rinsed and dried, then I'll do a much better show and tell. Oh, I love it. This was an old pillowcase. This is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I could not be more pleased. Exactly what I wanted. Yeah, when you have so many little bits, I mean, there's just no way I was going to wrap everything up really neat and tidy. Oh, I tossed a couple leaves in there just to see. I didn't figure they would do anything. Or if they did, it wouldn't do much of anything. But, oh, I did. Look at that. There's a leaf print. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, on one, that's fine. So I got to the point, and this must have been one of the last ones I did too, because I was so tired I just like dumped all the little stuff in there. Yeah. I found these little copper things at the hardware store. Toss those in there. Alright, since this is a big piece, I can do this. This is time consuming, at least it was for me. I'm not fast at rolling all this kind of stuff up, but oh boy, there's some great marks in there. Okay, maybe I'm a fan of just tossing on the little bits. That looks pretty juicy. I love these kind of broken circle things. Wow. Oh, that's right, this is a long piece. If you're going to do pieces with little things like that, I think I would make my fabric smaller. Big pieces like this would be good for larger pieces of metal. It's still really interesting marks. Little bits of copper did their thing too. This is just the first box. I have 3 more after this. That's awesome. Let's see. I think I'm in frame. It would stink to go through all of this and then get done and realize that you guys didn't see anything, so I'm trying to watch it, and if it gets too hot I'll stop and come back out later, because I know when I try to live stream, maybe it just takes more power when I live stream, because I've never had it shut off on me doing regular videos. Oh, this is great. So another sheet, I wrapped one of those copper things up in there, 2 of them in there. Look at that. These are some great marks. Oh, that is awesome. All right, rubber band. Ooh, this one's still really wet. That's okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. Kind of wondering, maybe I'll leave these ones that are still wet. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm taking out the top layers, and maybe I'll leave the ones that are still wet to keep drying. Alright, the chain was mostly to weight things down, but it looks like it might have done a little bit of something. Wow. Oh. This is just bliss. Any of you guys that have done this, you know this excitement. It's just like eco-dyeing. You just can't believe what nature is doing here with this material for you. Wow, my brain is like exploding with ideas of what I'm going to do with these things. All right, let's put some of this over onto this wet stuff. We can take off this layer, and then the next one might need to dry some more. Which is okay, because it's probably like 90 degrees already here. This was a metal plate. I guess this was the tin plate. Wow, and now it's almost like it's embossed, which means it's going to give me even different marks the next time around. Fabulous. One saw blade. Be very careful. All right, I'm going to let that one. I'll let these guys go back out in the sun a little bit. Yeah, if you didn't do it quite so fat, then it would dry more, but if I did it flat, so next time if I lay it out on the table, it'll dry faster. Look at that crusty stuff. So there's a little bit of the tree. Fabulous. So what I'll probably do, because we're taking off for the day, so I will probably let the rest of that dry and rinse that, unveil them off camera and rinse them, and then I will do a show and tell of everything. These are the hinges that came out of our cabinets when we did the kitchen renovation this year. That's great because I have a whole bunch more of those. And some of this will come off, I'm sure, in the saltwater rinse. That's what I'm going to do next. So I'll put them in a salt. The water's all ready, so I will soak them in there for a little bit. This one had the trees. Kind of like that you can't really tell that it's a tree. It just gives you some really neat ragged marks. Okay, the hearts. I'm going to work with those hearts because I think if I did just a single heart on a sheet of paper or sheet of fabric, that could be neat. It really gets so crusty. This was another, I had bought these little hangers and then couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with them, so let's just throw them in here. I got a couple hearts. Nice. Oh, look at this doily. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is awesome. This is one of the doilies I got during a recent haul. And they're a bright, bright white. Now I've got all these shades. Oh, that is yummy. That could be a journal cover right there. That is fat. I think I'm going to rust dye the rest of them, or at least I have like 10 more, maybe even more than that. This, I didn't know if it would work. I had a scrap of this orange cotton. Thought, let's see if we can get some color on it, because the orange was like really bright fluorescent orange, which was not something that excited me to work with. But I was thinking if I got some marks on it, it might be a different story. So these aluminum pans worked pretty well, except the weight of them did poke some holes in the bottom. So if you're going to do this, I would advise probably, if you're going to use pans like these, I would advise doubling them or putting them underneath or on top of a plastic bag to kind of catch some of the stuff off. I keep rinsing off the deck where everything was leaking out the bottom. Oh my gosh. You guys, is this not awesome or what? This was an eco-dyed piece that just didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to. And now it's got the rust added to it, which gives it much more dimension. Now I got a whole bunch of these strips that didn't take, so this will be a great way to use them up. Now we're going to have shades. Ugh. Especially like this end where I got really black parts. Yeah. Oh, down here. Yeah. That's wonderful. All right. This feels pretty wet. I'll put that one out in the sun. This actually works out pretty well because my bucket for my salt bath isn't very big. So at least you'll get to see most of them revealed, and then like I said, I'll come back when everything's clean and dry and show you everything, because it will change. Some of the rust will leave, and we'll get a nice variety of shades, tones, whatever you want to call it, of colors. I wish my bottle caps were flat, but I pounded a couple of them, and I tell you, that was just hard work. I had some steel wool, and I just, rather than pulling anything apart, I just left it in there whole. Nice. Really terrific. Wow, I didn't think I would need a bigger bucket for all my rusty bits, but maybe I do. That's wonderful. Can never have too many rusty bits. Another hinge. Oh, this lace. I hated the color of this lace. And it's synthetic, so I was just kind of hoping that maybe it would get some of the rust, and looks like it did. The rest of it I might just paint. And this all looks pretty wet. Oh wow, this is a synthetic piece of tablecloth, old tablecloth, so it probably won't do anything, but okay, so I am going to go put all this in a salt bath, and I will come back to you later. Okay, it's the next day and I am back with the second half of the reveal on the rust dyeing. I was going to do this off camera. I thought, well, I'll go ahead and see what I can do. Zoe's outside with me, so hopefully something crazy won't go by and get her all excited and start barking. But if so, you will know that's what it's all about. This was some copper wire, so I thought maybe I could get some different design and different colors. I will be more, I don't want to say precise, but more intentional when I do this the next time. And we got some nice little blotches of blue-green from the copper. So again, I'm wearing 2 sets of gloves. A reminder, I have a latex glove on inside of my rubber glove. And I am up to date on my tetanus shot. Oh man, I am gonna go dig out the rest of my doilies. This is awesome. This is the part that gets scary when you're working with rusty stuff, is when you see those pokey things back. Oh, don't be in a hurry. Just take your time. You don't want to poke a hole in your glove and not discover it until later. Look at that. Oh, that's yummy. So yummy. So much more interesting than a bleached white. This was a piece of upholstery material. Okay, these were little tin houses, or I don't know, rusted houses. Just anything I was trying to do to get some color on there. Wow, that's great. That was upholstery material. So I can cut that apart and do some fun things with that. Heart. Didn't get a very good heart impression. Let's see. That one looks like I might have a heart. We'll see. I'll have to be more intentional, definitely, on the hearts if I want to get good impressions. This was just some white fiber, so I thought I would see if it would do anything, but it probably didn't all get in contact. So just like eco printing, if there's no contact, you're not going to have as much luck with whatever it is you're doing on trying to get color or marks or what have you, which is why I think it's nicer if I could lay them down flat, which I will do the next time. Shoot. Of course, I did not bring any scissors out with me. Oh good, there we go. I'm super happy to see that these old hinges are given great color, because I have a lot more of them. I only put a few in my batch to see if it happened, but they give some real grunge here. Wow, this is awesome sauce. And of course, like the first batch, when I am done with this, I will soak them in a salt bath for a little while. Okay. Wow. Okay, so I do not advise using these pans because it has eaten a hole in these pans. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm not sure if that's going to be an issue on the fabric or not. I may need to discard some of that fabric if I can't get the metal bits out. Definitely do not want to take a chance on getting some of that rusty metal in the wrong places. The rest of this looks really juicy though. And I am wondering about the bottom of that. I'm going to put this aside because I might just treat that one a little differently. Better to be safe than sorry. I would rather sacrifice some of the material rather than have a horrific health incident down the road because I wasn't paying attention. This was interesting. This was some glue material. I'm not sure what it was made out of. Cotton mix maybe. And I thought, well, I just would really love to get some rust on some colored fabric. That worked pretty well. Pretty well. This is another one that's got some of the aluminum. But the rest of this is yummy. This was a eco-dyeing piece of a sheet that just was kind of boring, but now that it's got another color in here, it is much less boring. Still a little damp, that's okay. That one I just wrapped a couple of bottle caps in it. Yeah, so do as I say, not as I do. Do not use these at all, which is just kind of a bummer, but we'll see. This one I actually took time on the bottle caps. Let's see if I like the design enough to do it again. Yeah, that just wasn't smart thinking. I should have thought about, you know, what the rust reaction would do with aluminum foil pans. That just, you know, those of you that know better out there, you can just kind of shake your head at me. It happens. I don't know if my gloves are going to let me get the rubber bands off. Oh, that one off at least. Probably next time I will remember to bring some scissors out, and then maybe instead of rubber bands I will tie them with some fibers. Like this fiber, it's like a shoelace fiber, and that got a little bit of color, so I wouldn't mind having more of that with color. Huh. Not much there at all. This one's a little better. Yeah. I know, I'm a little impatient. I should probably wait for these to dry, but really I want to get all this rust stuff done so I can move on. I've got a few other sun things that I want to do, and that's okay. I can always recolor them. You do not have to just do this once and say that's it, I'm done with that piece of material. Okay, that I'm going to have to cut apart later. Okay. So I will assume that all of these are going to have holes in the bottom, which are going to create a hassle with using these pans in the future. Lesson learned. We can't know all this stuff when we first start out. You can read as much as you want about this stuff, and then suddenly you don't know as much as you thought you did. And it's all a process. It's like this great big scientific experiment. Some dried rest there. Pretty crunchy material. This is a really, really thin muslin. So I imagine it's pretty glued to the bottom. Wow. Okay, yeah, some really interesting designs, but I'm not so sure if I can use it. We'll put that aside. Two more. I'm really mad at myself now that I didn't think. I know, I just said don't be upset with yourself, but you know, when you do things and you lose the time that it took you to do something, it's frustrating. This was synthetic. I didn't think it would do much. I got a little bit, so perhaps if I wrapped it in something super rusty, I might get a little more. Zoe's got an opinion. That would be Zoe saying, somebody's walking by my yard. Copper is really interesting to add to this. You really do get some greens in there, and from the ones that I dried yesterday, the color did stay. Super crunchy material. So nothing distinct, but just more colors than just the white. All right, so this was something I was really anxious to get to and show you. The dollar store, this is the time of year to go looking at it because we're in September now and it's getting ready for Halloween. And they make this cloth. It's not as tight of a weave as cheesecloth, but it's got this great weave. And it's only $1 for this big pack, and look at how beautifully that takes color. I've got some great variation in this now, so this is awesome. I love this. And I tossed some more out here the other day. All right, getting to the sides that have all been eaten away. Dang, and this was my piece of denim. I might be able to cut part of that away, and the steel wool. Steel wool, I decided, makes me a little bit nervous because the little fibers can stick into the fibers of the steel wool can stick into the fibers of the material. So I think I might use it for making rust water going forward. All right, but part of that was on the eaten away side, so we'll have to cut that apart. And one more. Boy, now that I see how eaten away these things are, I'm really glad I decided to, oops, there's another piece in the bottom there. Really glad I decided not to wait another day. There wouldn't have been any pans left. Bummer, bummer, bummer. But we know a lot of things that do work. And I have keys somewhere. I know I have keys somewhere, and they would probably rust too, so I need to go find them. And there's still one more piece of material on the bottom. Or what's left of the bottom. Yeah. Wow. Oh boy. Well, I have lots of great rusty bits. I think this is a super big piece of material. Yeah, I just tossed, this was where I was getting tired in this last one. I just like tossed a bunch of small stuff in there. I've got like little nails and things. I think I could be more deliberate with how I place them on fabric. Either stitching them on or laying the fabric out flat. Well, one good thing about there being a big piece of material is that if I have to cut stuff away, although it doesn't look like any of this one got on the foil. Oh, maybe a bit on the side. So I'm thinking I'm going to go on my local next door and put out a request for big rusty items. Oh, I had my leaves in here. And this material was kind of a tan. Yeah, not so thrilled with anything that happened there. It's okay. Not everything is going to come out great and awesome the first however many times that we do it, at least not for me. I always have a few of the, oh geez, what did I do kind of things. All right, so this was interesting, and I'm going to go get some more of these. This was a sheet of copper, and in one of the earlier things I had a sheet, oh, isn't that pretty? I had a sheet of tin, and they really transferred nicely, and then got some marks on them that look like they're going to do like some embossing. So I like that green. Had a few leaves there in the bottom. Oh, and this was some copper scrub thingies, but again, it's shoot on the bottom. Not sure what I'm gonna do. Oh, here's another piece of that metal, which is probably all that was holding this thing together. Look at that, isn't that wonderful? So some sheets like that'll be great, but I've got to get rid of some of that. Yeah, so see, you can see right through the pan. That's not good, which means I got little bits of aluminum someplace around here, which is probably also not good. Okay, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to go do the salt bath, and then I will be back. All right, I am back after waiting a couple days for all my fabric to dry and sort it out. I still have some fabric sitting out in the salt bath. That would be the stuff that stuck to the edges of the aluminum pans. So do not use aluminum pans to hold your fabric or papers that are rusting, because the rust will interact with the aluminum and tear little holes in it and then stick to the fabric. So hopefully I will still be able to use that fabric, and if so, I'll do another little show and tell with what's left. But let's look at all these pieces, and there's a lot of fabric here, guys. So, you know, grab yourself a cup of your favorite drink and settle in. This almost looks like a butterfly to me. This was awesome. This was a piece of tan material, tan sheeting. And I think it might have actually had a little bit of polyester in it, and it took some nice prints. So I'm probably going to eco dye that as well to see if I can get one more set of colors and textures in there. Same thing with this one. This was a really old cotton pillowcase, And so I've got some nice colors started in there, but I think it needs just a little more. So we'll go in and do another. I did way too much in this batch. I really should have broken it up into a couple batches, but that's okay. This was linen. Linen just does amazing things with dyes and stuff like this. Look at all that juicy goodness. I mean, there's no way I can get all of this stuff in. Let's see, it goes sideways. Now this might make a nice journal cover. You know, I could see doing that. That would be a really nice journal cover. That's just about the nice height as well, but I'm going to be doing some slow stitching projects too, so that would be nice. And see, each side you get a completely different print, so could not be happier with this batch. Some more linen, really lightweight, lovely, lovely stuff. I might add some eco printing there just to over dye it and give it a little bit more dimension. Love that. And I did put some leaves in these. This was a piece that had been eco dyed previously, and I wasn't thrilled with the way it came out, but that's where I've got the blacks from previously, and then I put it in the rust bath and got some more color. So this is really neat. I can do some nice piecework probably with this. Maybe my stitch meditations that I'm going to be starting. Here we've got another really great print. Oh, I love this. That almost looks like a face. This is some nice cotton. So again, that might use part of that. I might want to put some leaves on, or not, you know, that doesn't all, not like every white space has to be covered. It's nice to have some blank spaces for your eyes to rest. Look at that. Oh, good, juicy stuff. Wow. See, even Zoe agrees with me. She does not agree, however, with the people walking by outside. It's another big piece. I don't know that I would do big pieces like this again unless I was working on like a wall hanging. I don't know. I like the smaller pieces. These were some washers that had spaces in them, which was really nice. There's a lot of my small pieces I just tossed on top of the fabric because by that time I was so tired. I don't know what they call these washers that have little slits in them. So they gave some really nice prints. So this fabric is pretty thin, so it would have to be sewn on top of something else before it could be like a book cover. Ooh, look, there's another one that looks like a face. Maybe it looks this way. Yeah. Actually, it sort of looks like a zombie guy, right? He belongs in a horror movie. He's got like a nail sticking out of his head. That was cool. There's another big piece. So you just kind of have to look and decide what marks you want to use for what. So I see some wall hangings in my future, that's for sure. Really, really crusty bit there. Cool. Sorry, I just kicked the tripod. Oh no. Pretend you were on a roller coaster or a merry-go-round, depending on how fast it went on your end. The doilies. Oh wow, I am so thrilled with these. These we got at a thrift store a few weeks ago, and I think I've got like 10 or 12 more of them. They came out great. Probably should have put something white underneath my stuff so you could see it even better, huh? Hopefully this shows up well. Just really good. I'm just using window lighting today. Now this was an experiment. The material is that kind of crinkly stuff, but it was cotton, and it was a really bright blue, which was just too bright for me. And it had some fake plastic appliques on it, but I cut apart just the plain part, and that came out really nice. And this is what happens when you use like a synthetic. This was just a piece of a synthetic tablecloth. It got a little bit of color on it, but not really worth doing again. I'll just probably spray that with some distress sprays. This I am really happy with. This is that spooky, I don't know what they call it, spiderwebby stuff that the dollar store sells. So it's much wider than a cheesecloth and a little bit, you know, stringier and stuff, but it takes color really well and cheap. You know, you get a big packet of it for $1. This was pink nylon lace, and I hated the color. It wasn't a pretty pink at all. It was really icky. And so now we've got this wonderful gray with rust on it. So I will probably do that with the rest of it. Now we're coming to my favorite pieces, most of my favorite pieces. These were things that had been eco-dyed before, and they weren't very exciting. So then they went through the rest, and look at that. That is awesome. Another one that had been previously eco-dyed. Now it's got a lot more interest in it. Crunchy bits. So I can cut off just pieces of this to sew onto something. Oh, here's another one with washers. What I did here is I just had the washer and I just folded it over and over and over again, and then I think I just let the rest, I just folded it all the rest of the way around and just let the rest do its thing. So I might just cut apart just those two circles and do something with them. But I love it with the black mixed in. So definitely a good use of eco printing that didn't turn out quite the way you hoped it would. This one you might have seen in my pictures. This again was another thing of washers that I just folded up, and I think after so long then I put another washer in there and kept going. So that could be a really nice wall hanging together, or I could cut them apart. Little pieces like this. It's another one. This had been eco-dyed, so you see the little bits of gray. So grungy, I love it. Little scraps. Always have a use for the little scraps. These were torn from a sheet, I think, that had white and purple stripes in it. Look at, oh. Could be pockets, they could be torn apart and be ties. These were little copper things that I found at the hardware store, and make some interesting marks. Another piece of linen. This was some upholstery fabric that was all cotton. It's much nicer to use now. Another one of my strips. The copper did give some greens in a few places, but not much. That's okay. It's all interesting. I was happy with this. I had a old orange sheet somebody had given me, and I mean, we're talking pumpkin orange, just way too bright for me. And I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with it, so I tore some apart, and I think this is going to go through a few more times. I might do some eco dyeing with it too, or some painting on it so it can become usable. This was another piece of upholstery fabric. Great washers. Cheap washers, print really nicely. I think these were my hearts. I had some tin hearts or metal hearts that were already resting, but I didn't place them very well, but that's okay. It's all usable. This was another previous eco print. And that's where you get the black. This was another eco print. Oh, and then the rest adds so much more interest. I hated it before. Now I absolutely love it. So much going on. And you can still see the leaf there. This was yellow fabric, I think, when it went in. So it basically looks super, super grungy right now. It's going to need something else done to it. There's another eco print. You can see a little bit. The leaf. Might have one more time on that one. This feels like it's got something else in it, that it's not just cotton. And of course, the organic materials are the ones that are going to do the best. So I'm always looking for sheets. Love the circles on this one too. Again, I could cut one of these apart and it would be great in a small piece. Fabulous. And this one. So there you have it. There is rust dyeing on fabric. I hope you guys will give it a try. If you do, please be safe. Please wear gloves. Please do this outside, and please make sure you have a current tetanus shot, because you do not want to mess around with that. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye for now.